Hello Stampers, this is Alison back with another Technique Tuesday video. Today I wanted to show you a technique called Paper Toile. This is a really pretty card. This is using the Swallowtail Stamp set, which is this large butterfly. I'll just bring it in so you can have a look at it, the actual stamp. Here's the whole stamp. See how large it is? And I've just stamped it on this card, and it's very pretty the way it is. But if you wanted to step it up a little bit, you could do the technique that I'm going to show you today called Paper Toile. Let me bring in the card. So here's the card, and if I turn it sideways, you can see how each layer is popped up, and each layer gets smaller as it goes in, and it's just popped up with dimensionals, and it just gives a really beautiful 3D effect to your card. So let me show you how to do this. I'm going to start with a piece of cardstock, which is 4.5 by 3.25, and I'm going to put a background image on this just because I don't like it to be completely plain. So I'm using Crumb Cake, and this is en Francais background stamp. Just going to ink that up and go ahead and stamp that on my piece. And I'm not really concerned whether I cover the entire piece. In this case I did cover it, but if I had missed some spaces it would be okay because it would just look like a nice vintage look. So that's the first thing I want to do. The next thing I want to do is bring in my big stamp, and I'm going to use Midnight Muse, which is one of the in colors this year, one of my favorites. And I find that if I turn my stamp facing up, I have much more control over how much ink I put on a large stamp like this, especially with our new stamp pads, which are really juicy. And then I'm just going to stamp my butterfly. And it's going to go off the page, which is fine. It's a very large stamp, and I only want a part of it to show. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And that's pretty, just on its own, just like that. The next thing I did was I stamped the butterfly image 3 times on a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. It doesn't matter if you go off the page a bit because you're only going to use a portion of each one of these butterflies. Then I went ahead and cut it out. So I cut out an entire butterfly out of one of the pieces here, one of the stamped images. So cut up the whole one. And then I just went in a little bit. I'm just going to bring this down a bit. Just went in a little bit and cut out this portion of the butterfly. Whoops, get it going the right way here. Here we go. So just cut that piece out and that. And then finally, I just wanted the middle part, the thorax of the butterfly, and then the just little part off to the side. On my second piece, just to show you, I did not cut the thorax as part of it. I just cut this piece, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I'm going to collect up all my little bits and bring back in my stamped image here. The very first piece I'm going to put on is the complete butterfly. Now you can see that this butterfly is obviously larger than this piece, which is fine. You could leave it actually so it looked like it was flying right off the page. That's another option. But what I did was I just took a little bit of snail, and I just want to put a little bit down, not very much. I'm just going to tack this onto my paper like so, because I want to cut out or cut off the excess that I don't need. If I turn that over, you can see that I just want it to meet the size of this page. So I'm just going to take my paper snips and cut that off. Okay, just like that. Get rid of those. Now I want to pop this up. So using dimensionals, I'm going to put them on the back of this piece. And I don't need a whole bunch, but I'm going to put 3 on each side here, just for some stability, like so. And then remember the trick, if you just press the center of these, the backs just pop right off. It's a lot easier than trying to pick them off. Okay, so once that's done, you're just going to attach it, like so. And so now you've got your second layer popped up. And you're just going to keep doing that. Now with the next layer, it still may go off the edge, which it does in this case. So again, I'm just going to put a little bit of snail, like hardly anything, just to tack it down so I can cut it off and then easily remove it. And I told you I would tell you why I didn't cut the thorax out on this one. I just figure that too many layers of that one doesn't work as well. So I only put it on the first one and the last one. So once you've cut off the little extra pieces on the end, you can just pull that back off. And again, you're going to stick it on with dimensionals. And the last one. So once you've cut off the little extra pieces on the end, you can just pull that back off. And again, you're going to stick it on with dimensionals. Okay, so I'm just going to come back in here and you're just lining it up on top of the other piece, like so. So I'm just going to bring this back in and you're just lining it up on the piece below, like so. Okay, so now we've got 2 layers. And then the last layer I'm going to bring in here, and you can see that I've kept the body of the butterfly. And what I want to do this time is I'm going to put dimensionals, like normal, on my little part of the wing. But in the thorax, because there is now a layer missing, I am going to, I love these dimensionals of ours because we can cut them. And I'm just going to actually cut a little strip, like so, for my body. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to peel the top off, but I'm going to add another layer. So it's a double layer of dimensionals, like so. Peel that off, and then peel these 2 off. And that just compensates for the height difference between the layers. And just stick him on, like so. And move all this out of the way, and you can hopefully see all the different layers. Isn't that cool? There's so many stamp sets that you could do this with. Flowers work really well. But if you really look through the catalog, I'm sure you'll find lots of different ones that you can use this same technique with. I'm going to bring in a card that I did a number of years ago. This little pot of pansies, and the same thing. Just each little layer is popped up, one on top of the other. And it just really adds something unique to the card, makes it a little more special. So I hope you've enjoyed this technique, and I hope you'll try it yourself. Thanks so much for joining me on Technique Tuesdays. Happy stamping!
Hey, if you wanna play, make it about a place. It'll take creation, imagination. Try to draw outside the